Hi, welcome back to my channel. So, in the past couple of days, you have either been celebrating or you've been scared out of your mind, like I have. On Tuesday, November 5th, the United States got the results of our election, and it was not good. To put it lightly. On Tuesday night, I felt so nauseous and panicky, and not even some of my favorite garlic noodles from a restaurant could make me feel comforted. I was feeling the 2016 dread again. I went to bed that night knowing that he would win. And when I woke up in the morning, it was 6 a.m. I just had that same feeling of dread, and I opened my phone and I saw that he had won. And I laid in my bed for 4.5 hours just trying to process and take it all in, and I couldn't. That was not a good day. I could not stay off of my phone and read about how afraid everyone is. The thing is that I have so many thoughts running through my head, like how I need to plan for the future, what I'm gonna do next, what the world could look like over the next 4 years. What do I want to say? What do I not want to say? What kind of things do I want to create? That's why this video is gonna be a bit rambly, because I don't have it all figured out. I don't think anybody does. But there's no denying that the next 4 years are going to be rough for a lot of people. And if you are not afraid of the next 4 years, you just probably don't know yet how rough it's gonna get. I don't know how this happened. I genuinely don't. It's very odd that 16 million people just didn't vote this year. Given that this was one of the most important elections of our time, and 16 million people did not vote, and that's just so odd to me. Something about this doesn't feel right. There are so many people saying things like, oh, we got through 2016 to 2020, and I'm like, did we though? Pretty sure that, because of the way he handled the coronavirus, millions of people died. So much racism and bigotry and misogyny was validated. People were no longer afraid to be openly all of those things because we had a president that said it was okay to be those things. But what I think people are failing to realize when they say that also is that that was 8 years ago. We do not live in the same time. The amount of racism, bigotry, and misogyny, they're twofold from that time, especially because Biden was president for 4 years, and the unrest that people who support him had only grew during that time. And I don't know if we just underestimated the pull that he still had. I don't know if the people who thought Harris could win were living in a bubble. I don't have the answers, and frankly, it doesn't matter, because this is the situation that we're in now. And the only question remains, what can we do moving forward? Because the fact of the matter is, if you are a supporter of his, then you most likely believe that women should not have bodily autonomy. You most likely believe that LGBTQ plus people are pedophiles, or they ought to be stamped out. You most likely are afraid of people of color. You probably believe you are better than everyone else. You're probably selfish. You're probably not very smart. You think that he is on your side. You think that he cares about you. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about anyone. I think the only reason that he ran was so that he could somehow get out of going to jail or dealing with the legal ramifications. I mean, he said himself that this is his last run, and he doesn't plan to run again. I don't think he even wanted to be president. I think he did it for his own gain, to get out of his own issues that he caused himself. And I'm not trying to harp too much on the negative side of all of this, because I already did that. The phrase that I kept thinking about over the past couple of days is the title of this video. It doesn't have to be like this. I look around at the world, I see a lot of patterns. I see a lot of things reoccurring, history repeating itself, patterns within people repeating themselves. It's a wheel. And especially after this election, I've been thinking, like, I don't want to be on the wheel anymore. Like, it made me think of what Daenerys said, like, I'm going to break the wheel. Like, that's just the feeling that I have, because it's like, why is there so much fear and hatred in the world? Why do so many people think that it is perfectly permissible to have a convicted felon, rapist, misogynistic, bigoted, criminal president who has no qualifications whatsoever for the job? I don't get why there's that dissonance, why so many people think that he's fit for it. A lot of it, I think, comes down to stupidity, but I think it's also people are afraid. And the media that those people have been consuming has been specifically geared towards making them afraid of anyone who's different from them. Or it's like he appeals to a person's lack. They feel small, they feel they don't measure up, so they say, yeah, fuck those people over there, I'm so much better than you. So I'm gonna get behind this person who says that he also hates you, and then I can feel superior. The reasons behind it psychologically are numerous, but once again, I keep coming back to this thought of it doesn't have to be like this. And yet it is. I keep thinking about how human beings were given everything. We were given the ability to imagine anything could be possible. And this is the best that we could do. We were given this consciousness that has unlimited potential, and yet these are the things that we are choosing to focus on. We have so much potential to be so incredibly powerful and empathetic and just so much bigger than what we've done. This is what we've done. I genuinely don't want to be a part of it. So I guess that's kind of what I have arrived to personally for myself, for what it is that I'm going to be doing moving forward. And by the way, it doesn't matter to me that I live in a blue state. I live in California, okay? We have a governor who has already had an emergency meeting to put forth legislation that is going to try to actively combat whatever he does in the next 4 years. Namely, I'm pretty sure California enshrined the right for same-sex couples to get married. I think that just passed. And enshrine abortion access. But again, I've had all of these thoughts of like, do I need to look into moving out of this country? Which is, by the way, an incredibly difficult process. So when people flippantly say, oh, just move out of the country, bye, get out, you know, all this stuff, it's like, okay, well, it's not exactly that easy. But that would also feel like running away. I'm the type of person that just knowing that this level of misogyny and bigotry and racism and hatred and fear lives in this country and in the world in general, I guess, but especially this country, would haunt me forever if I think about it too much. So I don't want to run away because I want to try as best I can to be a light for people, to continue creating, despite whatever people are fear-mongering all of us into thinking is going to happen over the next 4 years. Even though, like, I'm pretty sure that the law does not seem to apply to him for whatever reason, and I wouldn't be surprised if he tried to become a dictator in this country and overturn the 2-term president law. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to overturn access to even contraceptives. I wouldn't be surprised if they made a national abortion ban. I wouldn't be surprised if they even tried to outlaw divorce. His VP said that he was in favor of that, especially if his side gets control of all three branches of government and the Supreme Court, which it's already largely his side leaning, it's not going to be good. We won't know what happens until it happens, which is obviously a duh kind of thing to say. But if you've been paying attention at all to the platform that they've been running on, especially with things like Project 2025, which wants to outright ban any content that has sexually explicit language in it, and anything LGBTQ+. I don't know how realistically they could do that, because that would infringe on the right to free speech, even though we all know that in this country, it doesn't matter what's written into law. They can always do away with whatever they want. George Carlin is one of my favorite comedians, probably my favorite comedian, and he said at one point, all we've ever had in this country is a bill of temporary privileges, because rights aren't rights if they can be taken away. I don't think there is anything that his side the next 4 years can't do, and that terrifies me. So again, what is the point of this video? Well, it's this thought that I've been having of it doesn't have to be like this. And so I've been asking myself, what is it that I'm gonna choose to do moving forward? And I'm only asking this of myself. I don't think there's a point really to try to actively fight the things that make me angry or afraid. I think it's better to put stock in the things that make me feel good, in creating things and trying to be a light for other people. And I'm not saying that I'm Gandhi or anything, but just to do my part in that way, I feel like is the only thing that I can do. And it wouldn't do me or the world at large any good to be afraid, to be railing about all of the injustice, even though it's there and it's very real. I definitely did spend like a day or so posting on socials about how afraid and angry I was. You know, I'm not perfect, nobody is, but I just hope that moving forward, people now more than ever can really understand and cultivate this sense of no one can take your light away unless you let them. We can all choose at any time to create a sense of peace, happiness, joy, bliss at any time internally. Because that, I think, is when you really, really win in the world. Despite what's going on around outside you, despite whatever the next 4 years is going to bring, that is true wealth and that is true power. I hope that a lot of people realize how powerful they are in the next 4 years, especially if you are as afraid as I was 2 days ago, especially if you live in a red state, especially if you are gonna be targeted the most over the next 4 years. And it makes me emotional talking about it, because I'm so sorry if you feel afraid. I'm so sorry if you live in a place where you're not accepted, or if you are if you have family members who don't accept you, or you're around people who now feel emboldened to attack you, you know, mentally, emotionally, physically, on any level. I mean, it's not right. None of this is right. And I wish we lived in a better world. I wish that we lived in a time when people understood that the most powerful things we can do is to be the greatest versions of ourselves, and to be loving, and to not be afraid, to have the strength to look at ourselves and ask, why am I so afraid? Why does this person trigger something in me that is not who I want to be? But I know that we can live in a world like that. And the first step, I think, is going to be creating that within ourselves. There's a reason why one of the most famous quotes in the world is, "Be the change you wish to see in the world." And I think that that really pertains to how you choose to feel on a daily basis, how you choose to spend your energy and your time, because that has a ripple effect. We may not see it physically, but I think there is tremendous power in that. This is not forever. I promise you that changing your own mind is more powerful than any law that they can pass. Changing your own inner sense of groundedness and peace is more powerful than anything they could ever say to you, anything they could ever do. And honestly, words at this point just don't feel like they're enough, but I felt like I wanted to sit down and make a video about it because there was no way I was going to continue to just keep posting whatever video and not talk about one of the craziest shifts ever in the world right now. We need to change. We need to be better. We need to cultivate resilience. We need to cultivate sovereignty and knowing how to take care of ourselves, to not rely on the outside for support or a stamp of approval for your existence. You have to give that to yourself. Anyway, today's Friday, November 8th. I'm going to continue with my day, however that looks. There's no way for me to end this video that feels right or correct. Certainly not to ask you to like and subscribe or hit that bell as I usually do. So I guess all I will say is I hope you are well, and I will see you in the next video.